Today is Tuesday, May 18th. We'll tell you about the U.S. Supreme Court taking up a case that could become a direct challenge to Roe v. Wade. And we'll explain the new plan to donate some of America's COVID-19 vaccines to other countries. Plus, a major media merger and what it could mean for what you watch. There's a new warning about some crypto scams. And the new products Google might unveil today. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. The U.S. Supreme Court is getting back into a heated showdown over the controversial topic of abortion. Justices agreed to review a Mississippi law that was first signed back in 2018. It would ban most abortions after the 15th week of pregnancy. Exceptions would be in cases of a fetal abnormality or medical emergency. However, it was never really allowed to go into effect in Mississippi. Lower courts blocked it, saying the law was unconstitutional under Roe v. Wade. Of course, that's a landmark Supreme Court case from nearly 50 years ago that essentially legalized abortion nationwide. So now the high court justices are taking on the issue again. This time, they'll decide if the lower courts were right to block the Mississippi law or if it should be allowed to go into effect after all. This will be the first abortion case that's made it to the Supreme Court since the court has had a more conservative majority on the bench. And that could make a difference in the final ruling. Remember, the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg publicly supported abortion rights, while her replacement, Justice Amy Coney Barrett, personally opposes abortion and has openly questioned the scope of abortion rights the court has approved in the past. Many legal scholars and analysts are now saying if justices side with Mississippi on this one and let the law stand, their ruling could open a pathway to challenge Roe v. Wade on a larger scale. The court will likely hear arguments on this case in the fall, with a decision possible in the summer of 2022. A Florida politician who was once a friend and ally of U.S. Congressman Matt Gaetz pleaded guilty to sex trafficking a 17-year-old girl, and that could spell trouble for Representative Gaetz as well. Investigators are also looking into whether he paid the same 17-year-old for sex. Already his associate, Joel Greenberg, pleaded guilty as part of a deal with prosecutors. And Greenberg has said in the past that Gaetz was involved, though Gaetz is saying not true, and so far he has not been charged with a crime. As for Greenberg, he resigned from his position as a Florida tax collector when he was first charged last year. He's since admitted to using taxpayer money to pay for sex and sports memorabilia. He also faces 5 other charges, including identity theft, wire fraud, and using his position of power to defraud his former office. But it would have been a lot more if he did not agree to this deal. Greenberg still faces at least 12 years in prison, and he'll likely be sentenced in the next few months. On top of a crushing outbreak of COVID-19, India is now dealing with another disaster. The most powerful tropical cyclone in more than 2 decades hit the country late last night. It brought heavy rain, strong winds, and flooding to India's western coast. It destroyed houses and uprooted trees and electric poles. So far, Reuters says at least 16 people have been killed. And about 200,000 more people had to evacuate their homes and stay in shelters overnight. And those crowded shelters sparked new worries about COVID-19 spreading even more, especially since India is already dealing with a surge in cases, and hospitals are already running out of oxygen and beds for patients. Since the cyclone first made landfall, it's now weakened a little bit, but heavy rain is still falling, at least for the next day or two. The U.S. government is getting ready to ship millions more COVID-19 vaccines overseas. President Biden says he plans to have about 80 million doses sent from the U.S. to other countries by the end of next month. Most of those shipments will be the AstraZeneca vaccine, since it's not authorized yet in the U.S. anyway. But 20 million doses will come from America's stockpile of the Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson shots. The U.S. will work with the World Health Organization's COVAX program to make sure the vaccines are distributed fairly to countries who really need them. And President Biden says they will be donated, no strings attached. The U.S. has been under a lot of pressure to do this from the WHO and other countries who have accused the U.S. of hoarding vaccines while the pandemic is still raging in other parts of the world. But Biden says the U.S. will still have plenty left so it can meet his goal of having at least 70% of American adults at least partially vaccinated by the 4th of July. Already, about 60% of adults have gotten at least one dose, and about 47% are fully vaccinated. U.S. health officials say they seem to be working well, too. Last week, American deaths from COVID-19 fell to their lowest level in nearly 14 months. And officials say new COVID-19 cases have now gone down in all 50 states for the first time since the pandemic started. More news just ahead, but first, this episode is made possible thanks to Rothy's. If you are still putting up with uncomfortable shoes, I'm here to tell you, you don't have to, thanks to Rothy's. So what makes Rothy's so good? Well, a lot of things, but their unique seamless design is insanely comfortable the moment you put them on. And I'm talking right out of the box. And it's not just me. Other real customers like Lisa L say, quote, "These shoes are like walking on clouds." And Julie A says, "There's no break-in period, no blisters, just pure comfort." And because I've partnered with Rothy's for a while now, I've also heard from many of you who have fallen in love with Rothy's as much as I have. We all know it's comfort alongside style and sustainability that make Rothy's our go-to favorite flats. For the sustainable part, they're made with materials like plastic water bottles. And for the style, well, they're always available in a variety of super cute shapes, styles, and colors, so you can find the perfect pair for you. So upgrade your closet with washable, sustainable, stylish shoes and bags from Rothy's. Head to rothys.com/newsworthy to find your new favorites today. That's ROTHYS, rothys.com/newsworthy. It's a major shakeup in the media world. AT&T agreed to merge WarnerMedia with Discovery in a multi-billion-dollar deal. The merge will create the second largest media company in the world based on revenue. Only Disney is larger. By combining their assets, Discovery and WarnerMedia are putting more than 100 brands under one roof. The list includes Warner Brothers, HBO, CNN, HGTV, Cartoon Network, the Food Network, and of course, the Discovery Channel. The merger is expected to have a big impact on streaming, too, as networks compete for customers who have more options than ever before. The new company could offer customers all of their brands in one streaming network, for example, bundling HBO Max with Discovery Plus, or offering customers something entirely new. Executives are not confirming any game plans for that just yet. But no matter what, the new company could be a serious competitor to other powerhouses like Netflix and Disney. We'll see. The deal is set to close sometime next year, as long as federal regulators approve it. If you own cryptocurrency, beware of scammers who claim they can double your investment when really they'll take your digital money and run. Authorities say this type of fraud is on the rise. The Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, says about 7,000 people have reported losses totaling more than $80 million just since October. The FTC says some of the crooks are even posing as celebrities. For example, victims reported sending more than $2 million of digital money to someone pretending to be Elon Musk. Officials say the cryptocurrency itself is the investment and warn if anyone promises large guaranteed returns, it's likely a scam, and it should be reported. Google's I/O Developer Conference kicks off today. It's the company's big annual event where the tech giant typically showcases the company's latest software and products. And this year, we're expecting to see a finalized version of the Android 12 mobile operating system. It's estimated more than 72% of smartphone users around the world rely on this type of Android technology. Reports say the Android 12 system will include design changes like reshaped widgets, a new user interface that changes colors, and more. Google has also hinted it's planning to compete with Apple in the smartwatch space. Yesterday, Google confirmed its plan to unveil updates to the Wear OS during the conference. And the company is also expected to debut a new pair of the wireless earbuds called Pixel Buds. They're said to be a little less expensive, though they likely won't have quite as many features. There will also reportedly be updates to smart home devices and new items in the Google Play Store. The developer conference is free and all virtual this year. You can watch on the Google Developers YouTube channel starting this afternoon. The communication platform Microsoft Teams is no longer just for businesses. The company launched a new service for personal use, too. The business version was included in an Office 365 subscription, but this one does not need that. Instead, it's free for all with a lot of the same features. For example, the free version of Microsoft Teams lets people chat, video call, share calendars, locations, and files. And at least for now, the calls can last up to 24 hours with up to 300 people, no charge. Eventually, Microsoft says it will limit those group calls to an hour with 100 people. But even then, one-on-one calls will be able to go all day. Of course, video chat and other software services have exploded during the pandemic. And even as life starts getting back to normal, a lot of people are still relying on services like Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, and Zoom. So this personal version will likely make Teams a lot more competitive. Airline travel is picking up fast. The TSA says more than 1.8 million people were screened at U.S. airports on Sunday, and that's the largest number of travelers since the beginning of the pandemic. The numbers are expected to keep rising as more people get vaccinated and plan summer vacations. In fact, experts now recommend making reservations as early as possible before your preferred dates are booked up. So where is everyone going? Most Americans are staying within the United States. Forbes cited a travel service that found as many as 87% of its bookings were for domestic destinations like Las Vegas, Miami, and Orlando. National parks are also popular choices. And that's it for the main news today, but now it's time for Trivia Tuesday, when we ask a different trivia question every week. But first, a quick thanks to our sponsor today, Ritual. Ritual's prenatal vitamin is definitely part of my morning ritual. I take them every day without fail, and after the baby is born, I'll switch to their postnatal vitamin, and after that, I'll keep taking their women's multivitamin. I love that Ritual vitamins are scientifically developed to support different life stages. In fact, they're now available for women, men, and teens. And no matter who is taking them, we all deserve to know what we're putting in our bodies and why. And that's why I appreciate Ritual's transparent approach. They have a one-of-a-kind visible supply chain so you always know what nutrients you're taking and where they came from. And you will not find sugars, GMOs, major allergens, synthetic fillers, or artificial colorants. Plus, with Ritual, I never worry about running out. Ritual multivitamins are delivered every month with free shipping always. And you can start, snooze, or cancel your subscription anytime. And if you don't love Ritual within your first month, they'll even refund your first order. So get key nutrients with Ritual. And right now, Ritual is offering my listeners 10% off during your first 3 months. Just visit ritual.com/newsworthy to start your ritual today. That's ritual.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to Trivia Tuesday. Today's trivia question is, how many bones do sharks have in their bodies? Connect with us over on Instagram to play along with our trivia and news quizzes right in our Instagram stories today only. So find and follow us at NewsworthyPod. As for last week's trivia question, how many languages are written from right to left? The answer is 12. Of the thousands of languages spoken and written across the globe, only 12 are written from right to left. Examples include Arabic, Hebrew, Persian, and Kurdish. So why right to left? Well, it's not completely clear, but there are some theories. One theory is that it depends on how the language was historically written. So for languages that used stone back in the day, the theory is that it was easier and safer to chisel right to left horizontally. But with ink on paper, moving left to right prevented smudging. But again, there's not much evidence to say for sure. All right, thank you so much for turning to the Newsworthy to get your news each day and for sharing the show so more people can be in the know. And a big thanks to the Newsworthy Insiders for all your support. If you want to learn more and get ad-free episodes, you can sign up at thenewsworthy.com/insider. As always, we'll be back with much more news tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.